Hey Happian is the new way to greet a happy person. Let's do some happiness indexing by measuring the happiness quotient, HQ, which is a simple ratio of a numerator and a denominator. The denominator being expectation, while the numerator being actualization. The expectation is what we want, while the actualization is what we get. HQ can be measured quantitatively with numerics or qualitatively on gradient scales. Let's go through these simple examples of measuring HQs. If one wants 100 but gets lesser, example 50, so the HQ is equal to plus half. This implies partially or somewhat happy. Next, if one wants 100 and gets exactly 100, so the HQ is equal to plus 1. This implies exactly happy. Further on, if one wants 100 but gets more, example 200, so the HQ is equal to positive 2. This implies excessively or very happy. Next, if one wants nothing but gets something more or plus, as division by 0 is infinite, so the HQ, interestingly, is positive infinity. This implies infinitely happy. Moving on, if one wants 100 but instead gets nothing, so the HQ is equal to 0 or nil. This implies fully unhappy. Now let's example the negative dimensions, which is the sadness zone of losing whatever one is wanting. If one wants 100 but loses instead, example negative 50, so the HQ is equal to negative half. This implies partially or somewhat sad. Moving on, if one wants 100 but loses instead, example negative 100, so the HQ is equal to negative 1. This implies exactly sad. Further on, if one wants 100 but loses instead, example negative 200, so the HQ is equal to negative 2. This implies very sad. Finally, if one wants nothing but gets something negative, as division by 0 is infinite, so the HQ, interestingly, is negative infinity. This implies extremely sad. All of these examples illustrate the calibration of happiness quotients from negative infinity to positive infinity, from extremely sad to extremely happy. Let's express happiness quotients in terms of happiness gradients by scaling them in intervals. The first gradient is when HQ is negative infinity, of losing something despite not wanting anything. The second gradient is when HQ is between negative infinity and negative 1, of losing something more than wanting something. The third gradient is when HQ is equal to minus 1, of losing exactly how much is wanted. The fourth gradient is when HQ is between 0 and minus 1, of losing something then wanting something. The fifth gradient is when HQ is equal to 0, of getting nothing while wanting something. The sixth gradient is when HQ is between 0 and plus 1, of getting something positive while wanting more. The seventh gradient is when HQ is equal to plus 1, of getting exactly that is wanted. The eighth gradient is when HQ is between plus 1 and plus infinity, of getting positively more than wanting. The ninth gradient is when HQ is positive infinity, of getting something despite not wanting anything. The 9 happiness gradients for the corresponding happiness quotients from negative infinity to positive infinity can be put on a 9-point scale. Look out for more in the Happiness Happening series.